Hi and welcome to the Artist Interview Series. My name's Jay Berry and I will be your host. So, we're very lucky today to have Sequence on for the interview. So he's going to share a bit about how he got into DJing, what his favourite gigs are, and a few other things that I really hope can help and inspire you new DJs out there. He's also got a swag of releases, in fact hundreds I think, on Beatport. And he's also played all across the world at some of the best clubs, including high in Ibiza. Well, I hope you enjoy the show. Stay tuned and thanks for watching.
Where I grew up, underground music, it's such a massive thing. So like I grew up going to nightclubs and I always wanted to be out there, and I always had something to say about the DJ, what he's doing and blah, blah. And then I ended up trying it. I ended up buying a pair of wannabe CDJs from whatever. I think it was a Gemini. I can't remember. But those things, they didn't even have a cue button. It was just it was more of a doorstop than a piece of equipment. But it kind of put me in the mood, and then I knew I could do better. And then from there, on and off, it all started, and then just keep working on it, and then eventually it became kind of a career. So, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So what happened basically was we did when we bought these city, let's call them city J's. We had we did this big house party. It was for New Year's Eve, and it was my whole entire group of friends. And then we set up a bunch of cheap speakers, and we had like a little 2-channel mixer and that. And then we started playing music and watching the reaction of people while we were playing the music. It was a feeling that I loved so much, and it became an instant addiction. So the idea of being able to create atmospheres and create experiences through sound kind of made me kind of fall in love with it. And then I never stopped ever since. And it's been, I don't know how many years. It could be maybe 15 years, something like that, 15 years ago. Because I was a young teenager, probably was 16, and maybe almost 20 years ago. Almost. Wow. Yeah. So when I first started, I obviously tried to wing it, thinking I could do this. Back then, YouTube wasn't really an option, kind of thing. Tutorials weren't many tutorials. Like internet was still, it wasn't the best. But I was lucky enough to have a couple of friends who were really passionate about it, and they were doing their thing on vinyls, and they played at a couple of clubs. So they kind of gave me a few pointers, and they showed me the basics. And then from there, it's just been all about practice and, listening to the tunes and how to blend the tunes. And then every time I'd go out, I'd listen to what the artists were doing, and then I tried to recreate it at home. And then I tried to, whenever I see that they were manipulating the music, I tried to figure out how they were doing it and what was happening as the music was running, and then just run back home and then just try to do it myself. And then there's been a lot of people giving me pointers, and there's been a lot of self-learning. To be honest, I wish I had more. If I had someone that would have taught me back then more, I probably would have got everything a lot quicker. But for me, it was a long, very, very long process. When I played at high in Ibiza, it was a bit of a turning point for me, simply because the vibe in the place was amazing. The sound system was so massive, and I really got to connect with the crowd to a level that goes beyond anything that can be explained. It felt like every move I do would have an instant reaction with the people, and I was able to like make him move when I wanted them to move, make him stop when I wanted him to stop, make him rest, go faster. It was all like it was so amazing to be able to kind of manipulate people's emotions and do it to a level, to a degree where I could actually control it, and it was really empowering. And then the fact that everyone was having such a good time, and it just felt just amazing, you know. So that's and then the fact that the few songs that we had the biggest reaction from were our songs that made it a hell of a lot better.
How rewarding.
Sorry?
How rewarding did that feel?
Absolutely. It felt amazing. As soon as I finished, kind of like I was talking to a few people, and then I walked outside and I just called my wife, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened in there. And it was really cool. It's what we live for, really. I'm a nervous person, so I have, I got to make sure if I have a big week in the gigs, I got to make sure, I get a good night's sleep the night before, and then I get up in the morning. I make sure all my equipment works, and then I pack it all up, get on a plane, go wherever I need to go, go to a hotel or go to wherever I'm staying, and then I generally have a nice afternoon, and then I have dinner with the promoters, and then I generally go back and rest for a little while, and then I just go to the show. Generally, always about an hour and a half before the gig, just so you can, I can see the vibe, I can see the club, I can see what people are doing, and you can have another chat with the promoters, you can build relationships, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to show up at the gig 5 minutes before the set and bail 5 minutes later. I'm more like, I like to enjoy the experience as a whole.
Yeah.
And then when the gig's finished, I just go to bed and then do it all over again the next day. It's the same for every artist in whatever genre of music you are. It's especially, when you get to play your own music and you connect with the crowd through your own sound, something that came out of your head. The feeling it's hard to explain, but I feel like that goes across any genre of music, anything. When you do something, when you write something, you create something, and then you put it out there and it gets crazy reactions. It's that small moment. It's just something you can't forget, and then it becomes like you chase it. It's addictive. There's no other way to describe it, really. You kind of need to have an idea of who you want to be. It's if you decide to be a house music DJ, if you decide to be like a bass house DJ or something, if you when you build something, you have to build something that reflects who you are and it's something you love. And then you need to stick to it and try to do it better than anyone else, in a way that when you put yourself out there, people know what they're getting. They know who you are. You have your own style. You have your own things. And then obviously, like, you need to have your social media presence. So you need to have, your Facebook, your Instagram. You need to be able to connect with people and network using your social media platforms. Also, for me, it's the relationship with people are possibly more important than the social media part. If anyone's trying to get gigs, you can't, even if you have a large social media following, whether it's real or not, people generally don't just give you a gig just because. I feel like if you're trying to get out there and you're trying to work and become someone, you have to go to the shows, you need to meet the people, you need to support the parties, you need to be part of the scene and then show your face more than your profile photos, if that makes sense. For example, when I bought the TR8, the guy said that it didn't work, and he's like, oh, I tried to use it as, I tried to use it as MIDI controller and it didn't work. And I was like, well, it's not really, it's an instrument on its own. So if you use it, you've got to use it as an instrument. So in my head, I was like, well, I think it works. So I got it for dirt cheap for like $180 or something. And the guy brought it over and I looked at it and it was brand new. And literally, it was brand new, never used. And then I didn't even test it because I'm like, if I do test and it does work, the guy's going to take it back. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep it. And I'll just give him the money. And then if it doesn't work, I'll just throw it off as a loss. And then I just plugged it in, hooked it up to the speaker, and just started jamming. It was perfect. And I still use it to these days. So, but yeah, you just got to, with secondhand stuff, it can be a bit of a gamble. Especially with like CDJs and stuff, because people take them to parties, they drink, they flog them, and like they tend to go through some serious parties sometimes. So it's always good to, you're spending a lot of money. It's always good to, if you can not order it through the internet that comes via post, it's always best to, maybe even if it's an hour drive or an hour and a half drive, make the drive. Just make them hook it up, test it, check everything works. And if it does work and it doesn't fail on you when you're there, then it's a good thing. I mean, there's also people that buy thousands of dollars worth of equipment and then never use them. And then they sell it for half the price. So there's also great deals out there. So you just got to be smart about it. All right, probably the good old fist pump. When you sit and you're just standing at dance floor left, right, and center, and you're in your own world, and you just do this.
It's the classic one, hey?
It's the classic. I'm a traditionalist. I stay classic.